I'm Justin Davis, and this is Hglrc RC. What's up, guys? Welcome to today's review, something new from Hglrc. This is the newest Rekon 4, and it seems like lately they've been having really good luck with the Rekon series, so they are moving forward with more designs for you guys, and we're going to talk about this design, what's good about it, what might be bad about it. We're going to talk about the power system. This one will fly, first of all, on a Li-ion battery. I got a 4S 1P 18650 3500 milliamp Zod battery on here. It has 4 18650s inside this pack, and I do convert it down to an XT30 from the XT60 right here. It has an XT30 connector coming off the quad, so you'll have to convert that, which if you're handy with a soldering iron, you can do it yourself, or you can buy converters from XT60 down to an XT30. Hglrc RC also makes some 4SP Li-ion packs for a 3000 milliamp that have a little tiny XT30 on there, so you can get very similar flight times with the 3000 pack or the 3500 pack. So 28 minutes is great on this little quad. So I have these super cool folding props on here to test out today as well. So these are nice, and they do kind of come right out when you spool up. I always kind of just open them up before I spool up anyway, but just kind of have them ready to go. But we have 28 amp ESCs on here. We've got an F7 flight controller. It is a 20 by 20 stack right in the middle, super easy to access. I believe there's like 8 bolts on top. This is all M2 hardware on here for your drivers, and we have that classic dead cat style frame here. It has plenty of room on top for even a full-size GoPro. You can do a decased GoPro or the SMO 4K camera from Beta FPV and Insta360. Insta360 partnered up with Beta FPV to make a camera that is essentially a decased 1R. Super lightweight. It's around 30 grams, and you can get cases that will fit that. I believe this box also comes with the decased GoPro style mount, so you can do some cinema type stuff. So you can do cinema with this quad, or you can fly freestyle on a 4S 850. And if you want to kind of medium range fly this quad with this type of power system, you're going to get like 12 to 14 minutes flight time with a 4S 850 milliamp battery, and that's a LiPo battery. That's kind of crazy because that's almost like a Li-ion type of flight time. And this is in competition with the other 4-inch ultralight series out there. Diatone makes one, Hglrc RC makes one. We featured some of those on the channel, and these have been super popular, mainly because they're under 250 grams, and they have a lot of versatility. Some of them don't freestyle quite as good as the other ones, but this one will freestyle really well. And today's main test is going to be for the long range flight of this quad with the Zod battery on board, so I'm interested to see how that works out. We did have some guys with some FPV wings blasting like 700 milliwatt the day that I was testing this, so I do apologize in advance for any feedback or breakup in the video while those guys are flying. You'll see some breakup, but this is the Zeus analog FPV transmitter, and it does work pretty good. And we have GPS return to home on this one as well, so that's already set up in beta flight. And the nice thing about this quad is that a lot of this already came set up. The GPS already came set up. It's already set up to a channel in the port, and I believe it was on like port 3 or something, but you can go inside beta flight and check that from the USB port on the flight controller. We also have a CADX camera on here for the analog version, and I believe the analog version is pretty affordable. And then I believe the CADX Nebula version, Nebula Pro version, is around $300, so about the same price point as most of the other DJI quads out there. But this one is flying nice. The tune is good on here, and everything seems to come set up. It's not like I'm having to do a bunch of PID tuning with this quad and do a bunch of additional setup from the company for a prototype, so I'm happy about that. They also have an Immortal T antenna up front right here, mount for you guys flying crossfire. So if you get this one totally naked and you want to add your own crossfire receiver, you can mount your Immortal T right up front right here. So that'll give you that perfect wherever you're facing signal back to your Tango 2. And that's what I'm using. I'm using a Tango 2 most of the time, but today's test we're going to fly in a little bit close with an XM Plus one here. So if you're flying an XM Plus Taranis style receiver, you can still have return to home and all that. And Taranis, the XM Plus from Freestyle will get you out there. I've tested it out to about 1.5 miles before I lost signal. And I tested those receivers with GPS type of actually fixed wing, just to see how far out XM Plus would get me. XM Plus is like one of the most popular receivers in our hobby. So a lot of people have Taranis radios from Freesky. So today we're going to go out and test it. We'll fly it, and we'll talk about all the versatility that this quad has. I mean, cinema, it can do freestyle, or it can do long range flights. So 28-minute flight time is great. So compact and dead cat style frame with no props in view. It has a lot of cool stuff going on here. So let's go ahead and take a moment to go fly together, and you can fast forward through that part if you just want to know more about the Recon 4. I'm going to tell you all about it after the flight review. So let's go ahead and strap up this Li-ion battery on top and take a flight together. Here we go. All right, my friends, welcome back from the flight test. So this one, as it sits, it's 167.7 grams without the battery. So this is another one of those quads you can keep under 250 grams. If you want to add a 4S 650 on there, you're still going to get like 8 minutes flight time. And the 850 is going to get you over 250 grams. That's without your action camera. So if you're looking to fly something under 250 grams, you're probably gonna have to put a pretty small battery on this one, but it is ultra light. Now, and this battery should get you 12 to 13 minutes flight time. And I'll put some links down below to some great 4S 850s for you. The next option is your Li-ion battery on this quad, and I would suggest either the Hglrc 3000 or the Zod pack, which is 3500. I really like this one a lot. I like this one because of the fact that it does get me a very similar flight time, but also has the XT30 on here. And I might have actually switched that out, possibly, but I'll try to put a link down below for those, and you guys can match that up. You might need to make a converter from an XT60 over to an XT30, but I'll also try to find a converter link for you. You can get those pre-made too. But either way, if you're handy with a soldering iron and you have your own connectors, you can get them off Amazon pretty quick. But we have some 4-inch folding props on here today, and it also has that TPU mount up front for a GoPro or an SMO 4K camera. And let's just go ahead and put the Li-ion on there. So that gets it up to 370 without the camera. And it's wild because even though you're adding all this extra weight and getting like 28-minute flight times with something like this, which seems kind of large, you could still add an action camera on here, and I'm almost still guaranteeing you can get over 20-minute flight time with a cinema camera on the front, whichever camera you decide to put on there. I feel like the full-size GoPro would be getting a little bit heavy for this size quad, but I'll leave that up to you guys. It's going to lessen your flight time, and you're definitely going to feel that you're carrying a large camera on there. The full-size GoPro just seems to kind of be going the way of the Buffalo. It kind of seems to be not so popular now. So what a lot of people are flying, and just to show you an example, is that camera right there. That is a decased GoPro. And the analog version on Banggood's website right now is $239. So that's really attractive price for, I feel like, a quad that has a lot of diversity to it. It can do just about anything. And it looks like the receiver options on their website are TBS Crossfire Nano, or you can do the FrSky R9 receiver, or without receiver. And that seems to be the only options for the analog version. But this Zeus VTX on here too, we've talked about freestyle bando flying and how you want to run 800 milliwatt. And that Zeus back there, it will rock 800, which is great. And instead of a UFL connector, I see it has an MMCX connector on the very back there that's going up to this hammer antenna. And it's an extra tall hammer antenna running 5.8, which is great. That is what you want. You don't really want a stubby on something that you're going to fly out miles and miles. And this quad will go out. I mean, you can get 5 miles out with this quad with a 28-minute flight time. You just have to watch your headwinds coming back, because when you're coming back in a headwind, you're going to have a little less flight time. It's going to be pushing the power system more. But I love this design. The Dead Cat series is great, and by Dead Cat, it means those straight ahead arms. They're swung forward just a little bit, but no props in view is great. They have the capacitor on there, replaceable arms. Some guys talk about how thin these are, and for a freestyle rig, they're a little bit fragile. And I would say yes about that, but really these are kind of like the ultimate cruiser quads. And if you're out cruising, most chances are you're not going to crash if you're up doing long range flights and cruising. And that wire right there coming out just behind the camera, that is your plug for putting on any type of external camera, powering it through the quad system. So that's nice. For the SMO 4K or a decased GoPro, I just snapped the original connector off there because I was going to solder up a new connector for my SMO 4K. But the quad overall looks nice. The external buzzer on here is really important for you guys. Mine's disconnected right now because it kept beeping when I was trying to do some beta flight. So I just quickly disconnected right now. But there's a little tiny plug right next to that harness, a little black plug right there. That's how you turn the beeper off. After you unplug this quad, it's going to sit there and beep annoyingly because it thinks it's crashed somewhere. But that's the purpose of these external beepers. They actually have their own little battery just underneath there that will run this beeper, and it is quite loud. So that's why I disabled mine. But for flying, I plug it back in. And then back here is our GPS. We have that sort of mounted on an angle, and that's on an angle because when you're flying, it's going to get a straight view of the sky once it's on that tilt like that. And I was getting upwards of like, I swear it said 28 satellites at one point on the OSD during my flight. That's the most satellites I've ever seen on any type of quad, any quad I've ever flown, which in over 10 years experience on FPV is kind of crazy. Even more satellites than the DJI drones are getting on a home lock. Give yourself about 30 seconds to get a home lock to a minute before you take off. Make sure you have a good connection. There is a setting inside Betaflight also to be able to arm the motors without getting a home point fix. But then you might risk not coming back to home if you do have fail-safe set up to GPS. So most of us, when we have GPS, set it up so that we can arm without fixing the home point. But you want to have your fail-safe set up so that it will return to home. And honestly, you want to wait for the home lock. Give yourself a good minute or so before you take off. Maybe even stretching it out to 2 minutes. If you're running 800 milliwatt, be careful about that in the summer because you can burn up your VTX when it's sitting there in the baking hot sun. But this can be a freestyle quad or cinema or long range. We have that Zeus F7 flight controller in here, which I think is great. All the soldering looks good here. And we have this, I believe, 28 amp ESCs down below. They can run from 3 to 6S. You're not really gonna, maybe you could run 6S on these motors since they are lower kV, but you want to double check that these things can handle 6S before you just fly it on 6S. I've been running on 4S, and for the beginner guys, you can even start out on a 3S battery with this quad. It will absolutely fly just fine with a 3S battery. 1404 2800 kV motors are nice and mild. And I'm looking on the specs right now, and it does say 4S max on here. Even though your flight controller can handle 6, you would have to upgrade the motors to fly 6S. So that's good information for you guys. The GPS in the back, I know guys will ask me which one it is, and that's the M80 GPS. And that just plugs in the side right there. And you can unplug it to disable it if you didn't want to fly with it for some odd reason, or you couldn't get it to arm. Sometimes when we have GPS on, it's kind of a pain because you're not able to arm the quad until it gets a lock, and that's why the developers of Betaflight made it an option for us to turn it on and off. And the buzzer on the bottom, it's made by a company that's a Soder FPV style external buzzer. So this one has a lot of the right things on here and multiple battery selections for Freestyle, your LiPo battery, long range batteries, and the option for a nice size camera on here or a mini compact camera. So I think this is just another one of those quads that came out that it looks good. And for me, I wish I had been flying on a day when those guys were out with their wings, so I could have had a little clearer video. But I feel like if I was to get either one of these, I would go for the Caddx Nebula Pro version. For me, that would be the ultimate long-range rig. I mean, this is the holy grail of FPV when you have DJI, GPS, dead cat frame, optional Lion packs for that 28-minute flight time. I mean, get a lawn chair and chill because you're going to be in the goggles for a long time on these batteries. But still, you have like a 12 to maybe 14-minute flight time on a 4S 850 with this low kV motor. So I think that's epic. Yeah, the action cameras are not included, so I'll try to put a few of my top choices for light action cameras down below, and you guys can check those out. But I think Hglrc did a great job on this one, and with all of the ultralights coming through my channel recently, I was excited to have another one to test out for you guys. So it's super stable, very precise, and like just one of those quads that you will enjoy owning. I mean, it's a really beautiful design, and actually pretty quiet in the air. It's very compact and well thought out. So I think they did a good job on this one. So I'm going to say 2 thumbs up on this design. I don't have a lot of bad stuff to say about it because it just didn't give me a bunch of problems, and a lot of it is already set up for you guys. So you can put GPS return to home on a switch in Betaflight, and it's 90% set up out of the box. So they nailed it on that as well. So the GPS is actually working out of the box, which is like really good, because a lot of the other companies out there right now, they have it all blank inside Betaflight, and you have to set it up. It's a total pain. So I'm going to go ahead and end up this review now, guys. So hopefully you enjoyed the flight footage and that super ultra long flight time that you can get with the Recon 4. I think this one's just a fun, compact, like easy choice. And for the money, I think it's a great flying quad. Most importantly, it flies awesome. But thanks again for subscribing, guys that are already subscribing. I appreciate you guys that hopped on my Patreon as well. I really appreciate that. And please do subscribe on the channel, and I'll try to bring you more tests and reviews coming up. We'll do some tutorials and things like that as well to keep you guys informed of all the things in the FPV hobby, and some other tech related videos as well. But take care, guys. Stay humble and be kind out there, and keep flying. And let me know what you think about this one in the comments down below, or if you have questions, I'll try to answer. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one.